Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Mind. Today we're joined by GLVC champion men's golf coach Anthony Monaco. And Coach, before we get into the season, just ask you how are you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good. Excited to be here, and I thank you for doing this. Something to help promote our sport. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Heard you got a nice break right after the golf season ended, right after Nationals. Just talk to me about that and just being able to get away from the game just for a little bit.
Yeah, I just decided it was time to go fishing for a while.
Yeah, right.
Get some of that done, and then saw some family and got to go see my parents and play some golf with my dad. So that was pretty special. So.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, let's get into when you got to Missouri S&T. You came in pretty late on the coaching hire cycle. I mean, you got here in early September, late August-ish, and you guys just played a meet right after that?
Yeah, I think it was 10 days before we started.
That is
first tournament.
That is unbelievable. So, you guys started in the Arch Cup September 3rd out in St. Louis. You guys finished second out of the 12 teams there, all the GLVC teams, and you were really just like learning your team at that point. Just kind of talk to me that experience, and maybe you were just learning everybody's name at that invitational.
Yeah, I was just excited to be able to see what we had talent-wise and just trying to get a feel for them, and I'm sure they were trying to get a feel for me and how I was as a coach. And, honestly, though, I think we kicked it off great. The guys were amazing whenever I came in. They were already practicing. They were working on their schedules and getting that to me and making sure that the transition with me being here just 10 days before the season started was a lot easier. Because in a lot of situations, it would have been, hectic.
Right.
And I applaud them for their work before I showed up, plus just for being just awesome guys.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
Yeah. So you guys finished second in that. Then you go to the UND Fall Invitational later in that month. You guys win that tournament. It was a really good field at that place. Kind of tell me about what you saw from your guys there and taking home a trophy for the first time.
That might be the best tournament I've ever seen played by a college team. We shot 35 under. Our kids played out of their mind for a while. I think everybody was under par, at least for three, maybe even 2 or 3 rounds for sure. Mm-hmm. I think the one drop score we had was like a 1 under par. So go out, second tournament, you shoot 35 under as a team. You're like, okay, that's eye opening because there's not many teams that can do that. So it showed that we had the potential to do that, and then from there it was okay. How do we get even better in that?
Yeah.
So not to let them think, okay, we just did that. And then, you get lackadaisical. We can't ever get lackadaisical. You want to continue to get better. So that was definitely a good test, though. For us. Definitely.
And at that point, you guys were already halfway through your fall schedule, only 4 invitationals in that fall. But you guys went to the Midwest Regional Preview, which turned out to be a great event for you guys because you guys went back to there in the spring. You guys finished 3rd overall, but Isaac, too, he won that invitational down there. He had a great fall last year. Kind of talk to me about him and just the whole team at that invite. Yeah,
so Isaac played well all week. He shot 6 under the first round. And then just kind of played well, steady the rest of the way. That course that we played, obviously judging by our regional scores, was not really our friend, I would say. So getting a look at that course, obviously in the fall, and then, getting a preview of what we were going to see in the spring was big for us. And even in that event, we didn't have Adam. Adam was playing in the Asian Pacific for a chance to play for the Masters. So that was really cool for him. But everybody else, it wasn't our best week by far, but it was a good test to see the other teams in our region and then, obviously to play the course and get used to it for the spring.
And I'll ask you about Adam now. Risk Adam Rose, he was a freshman this past year, but going to the Asia Pacific Amateur, just qualifying for that event is a huge deal. His big highlight of that event, I believe, was a long putt that he posted on his Instagram. Kind of talk to me about what you saw from his college coach in that event.
Yeah, he played well. He had the lead, I think, late in the 3rd round of that 4-round tournament. And like I said, it's a trip to go to the Masters, which is everybody's childhood dream to play the Masters.
Right.
So, he played really well. I think he finished 8th, which is incredible.
Yeah.
He'll be playing in it again, another chance. So hopefully just the experience he gains from playing in these type of events will help not only us, but also help him in his future. So.
Yeah, I remember talking to him when he came back. It was in Tokyo, Japan, and he came back to Rolla from there. He told me, I got back yesterday. I have a test tomorrow. That's just kind of the grind of a student athlete here at S&T. You're in Tokyo one day, and then you just have, your engineering or whatever class you have the next day, right?
Yeah, it really is. There's so many times that our kids come back from tournaments and all they're doing is studying while I'm driving, or going to tournaments, they're studying while I'm driving, or, when we're done with golf and we're done with the round, every night they're staying up till 11:30 at night trying to get their homework done. It's a complete grind. And those guys, we had a 3.69 GPA in the fall. I think we had a little higher in the spring. and that's just incredible. It just shows you the amount of work that they'll put in, not only for golf but also for what they're looking to do in their future as well.
Yeah.
Because those kids, they're well-rounded, and you don't get that a lot of places. You get kids that'll play and do what they want to do for their sport, but they won't really want to do the academic side. Well, our kids do both,
right?
Which is incredible. So kudos to them. They do a great job. They put the work in, and you know what? It's just nice to celebrate not only wins but also their high academic stature. So
yeah, definitely. Closing out the fall in October, it was a month after the Midwest Regional Preview. You guys went to the Bill Crabtree Invitational hosted by Kentucky Wesleyan. You guys take home the trophy there, and Isaac won another tournament at that one too.
Yeah, so Isaac played really well again. He had it rolling in the fall for sure. You know, in that big gap that we had between tournaments, we really focused on trying to figure out short game. I mean, that's kind of what killed us when we played in the Midwest Preview, was our short game, and just kind of being a little lackadaisical around the greens. So it was good for us to come out, and then from the work we put in for that month, to see it progress into another tournament win.
Yeah.
And I mean, we played well there. 2 rounds, you shoot 18 under.
Yeah.
So that's really good. I think that's another school record for 2-round tournament.
Yeah, I believe it's up there. I mean, you go through our record book this year. There's so many 20, 24, 25 times in there. So definitely lots to be proud of. But going into the spring, you guys go to Saddlebrook Spring Kickoff in Florida, take home a trophy in that event too. First event of a spring, just kind of a nice warm-up to get back in the game of golf, right?
Yeah, it was for sure. Well, I just said whenever I knew that the national championship was in Florida and we don't see Bermuda grass, I knew I had to get our kids down there just to get adjusted, because it's completely different than what we have around here or what we play in the Midwest, because Midwest is all bent grass, and we had to go down there and figure out how to chip again. It's kind of the big thing. There's a lot more grain, a lot more water, a lot more hazards. So it was good to go down there at a course that's actually really hard, and to see them put the ball in play consistently on holes that were really tight. Either had water, you had out of bounds. And I thought we played well. I mean, we lapped the field pretty good in that tournament, and you know, it was good. A good boost to start the springs. And
especially after a long winter in Central Missouri, there's really not much you can do with golf here in Central Missouri, right?
Not really. No, we were in the we were hitting in the cages, I think, all the way up until we left. I think there was like maybe a week that we went out and played outside, but other than that, it was mostly just cage work and using our launch monitor. Yeah,
I mean, you guys train right up in the arena up there, right by the softball and baseball batting cages. I remember a lot of times when men's basketball and women's basketball were playing, you guys were just up there training. Kind of talk to me just about that experience. I mean, you guys are in the arena training, and you guys just casually make the NCAA tournament, right?
Yeah, so it was just trying to figure out swings. I mean, if you can get a reputation down, okay, then we just have to figure out how to do it whenever there's actually grass and other stuff going on, and the weather conditions and that. It's not the perfect thing, but it is something to make sure that you continue to get better. And the other thing we used too is the dome. We used dome for we were hitting outside the dome and onto our little range wedge nets and stuff like that. We used that, and then when we got creative and started using the intramural field, because at least we had 120 yards
on the turf field.
On the turf field, yes, we'd lay our mats down and hit onto the turf field, and that I mean, that was you think that's crazy and everything, but that's the kind of stuff that we have to do to make sure that we're continuously competitive. So definitely. Continuing with the spring, you guys went to the Hillcat Classic in Oklahoma. You guys take home second in that tournament. Then you go to Findlay, and Connor maybe has the best week of his life in that one. Connor Benjamin, a 198 through 3 rounds, minus 18. Those are both the all-time record, and you guys take home the win in that tournament. Yeah, that was crazy to watch. I think he made, I don't know, it had to be over 1,000 feet of putts that week. It was crazy. He played really well, tee to green, and then he just made everything he looked at. And it was fun because in that tournament you play as a group, so everybody played together. Yeah. So whenever he's making putts, and we're down 9 shots going into that final round. He comes out, makes some putts. The other guys start making some putts. Well, then you start getting momentum. Yeah. Now the whole team is playing well, and you can see it all happening in front of you, and it's fun as a coach to watch everybody play well all at the same time, because a lot of the time I'm seeing a couple holes here, a couple holes there of everybody, but just watch the full 18 holes of us playing to our ability was really fun to watch. So. Yeah, and you guys will chip back and forth with each other, I'm sure, right? For sure. So after that one, you guys go to Ashland. You guys take second in that one. And then, you go to Ken Partridge in Indiana. You take first out of 20 total teams in Indiana, and that was right before the GLVC Championship. So just tell me about those 2 invites and kind of just leading up to the championship. Ashland was a good tournament for us. We got to see kind of who we would see in our regional.
Yeah.
So we kind of got a taste of how well we needed to play moving forward because the teams in our region were good.
Yeah.
Wayne State ended up winning that tournament. So, and then the next week we see them again in the Kim Parchers, and we end up beating them.
Mm-hmm.
We see Grand Valley State in the next one, and they're supposed to be number 7 in the country, and we beat them by 11 shots. So it was good boost for us to know that, hey, we are the best team in this region.
Right.
Let's go make a run at it. So that was kind of the big thing leading up in the conference, and then leading up in the regional, and then the NCAA Championship. I told the guys all the time, I said, we got 3 more weekends where we got to play well.
Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah. So going into the GLVC Championship, I should say, in Bolivar, Missouri, really a weird week. The first day it was raining really hard down in Bolivar. You guys only got one round in. And then the next 3 days you played, 54, more than that in 2 days, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we started off, I think we lost 4 balls in the first 3 holes, and we were already 15 over through 3 holes. And I was like, oh, boy, here we go. Because in that tournament, you guys just got to finish the top 4 so you make it to match play. So we battled back, though. I don't think we shot another round over par after that first one. But, yeah, the weather conditions were not ideal that first day. But it is what it is. Everybody had to play in it. Yeah. And, it was good to see us fight back because we needed to see some adversity for sure before heading into the regional and NCAA Championship. So. Yeah, so we'll talk about the match play that you guys qualified for, second in stroke play, and then you guys obviously got this trophy. But you played Lewis on April 22nd. That started at 8 a.m. Kind of talk to me about matching up guys that you had to do in that first match play of the year. Yeah, so we hadn't seen Lewis a lot. Yeah. And it was kind of – I wanted to get my thought process on who I thought would go out and win out early so that we'd get a couple points on the board, and then the rest of the guys would see, okay, we're kind of locked in to beat them. But no, they played well in the stroke play portion, and I just thought that who I had matched up would be a good matchup against who they threw out against us. So. Yeah, and you guys take it to Indianapolis in the next round. I mean, you guys went up early. Connor, I believe, was up 5 strokes, 6 strokes after the first hole, and I believe someone else was as well. So after that, you guys just kind of had smooth sailing into the championship. And just kind of talk to me about how proud of you guys are, proud of you are of your guys, and it's the first GLVC championship in your program history. Yeah, I mean, our guys worked all year for that. Yeah, they really did. They put in more work than any other team that I've been around. But the other thing is, too, we had the expectation of doing that. That was our goals. Our goals was to win the conference, and then our goal was to win the regional, and our goal was to win the national championship. So whenever you put those kids in that situation, they tend to raise to the top. So they decided that, we're going to win this thing. We're not messing around. Yeah. And that was just kind of the mindset they had moving forward. And the other thing that helped us, too, whenever you see those other tournaments, those are all leading up to something. Yeah. And it's all leading up to, can you do it when the pressure's on? Right. So how do we play whenever we aren't playing our best, but we know that in the end we can still win, but we're going to have to grind a little harder. And I think our guys fought all year long. There was a lot of times in tournaments that I was just sitting there thinking, like, holy cow, we're in trouble. And then we just started playing well. So it was a mixture of that. They really dug deep in all aspects and pretty much a lot of our tournaments. But it all started whenever we had the mindset that we weren't going to not take first. Yeah. I think in everything we played in, that was the biggest thing I preached was, we're here to win. We're here to win. We're here to win. And I don't think that they had that before. I think they were just okay with whatever they finished. Yeah. And changing the mindset and changing a little bit of the culture, and then just getting guys to believe and know that, we are that good, I think is the biggest thing in golf, because golf is so mental. And then it's tough not only playing it, but it's also tough whenever you got to do it for multiple day stretches. Because we played 54 holes, and then you go back and you play 36. Yeah. All in a short span, and that's 4 days. I mean, that's a lot of golf. Yeah. A lot of golf. So it's got to come mentally first and foremost. You have to know that you're going to win. You have to know that you're going to play well, and then you have to go out and execute. And these guys, that's been them all year. So they did that all throughout the year. Yeah. Speaking about some of your guys' accolades, I mean, the 6 total wins is an unbelievable feat, but Cole, Connor, and Isaac all get all GLVC. Cole and Connor all region, and then Connor will be announced as an All-American. He's just the 3rd S&T player to ever do that in program history. Kind of talk to me about those guys there. Those 3 are incredible. I have 2 of them are juniors. Connor's a senior. Connor had one heck of a year. You see he had a win. He, like you said, broke the record 18 under. He came in and, I don't think he played a lot last year, but he worked at it. And he didn't just say, hey, I'm just going to come back in and I should be able to play. He worked at it, and he got better. And then he continued to get better throughout the season as well. As you see in our tournaments, you could see a trending up in his scoring average. So he ends up scoring average of 71.3. I think that's the best in S&T history as well. And it's all from the work that he put in. And it didn't just start, like a lot of people say, it starts here or it starts there. No, it started way back.
Yeah. Way back,
because he made a change in his lifestyle to make sure that he was going to play. For sure, because he didn't play that much last year. So Cole is steady as a rock. I mean, if you look at his tournament finishes all spring, he's finished outside the top 10 once.
Yeah.
Once. I mean, that's crazy. That's consistency at its finest.
Yeah.
He just continues to get better. And it's good to see, because he also gains confidence as well. Whenever he's playing well, he's got a lot of confidence and a lot of swag to him. And, whenever you can consistently see yourself playing well and you're up there and you're competing for tournament wins and you're continuing to get better, it's an exciting thing as a coach to see somebody transition from that as well. And Isaac, did he have his best in the spring? Probably not. Did he have his best in the fall? Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. 100% had his best in the fall. Spring came back and he just didn't play as good. And that happens. But you know what? He never laid down. Isaac was always somebody that no matter what, he was going to give you a score. And that score was going to help us for sure. And without him, we don't make it as far as we do. And I know he'll look back at it and maybe have some regret on some of the rounds he played in the spring. But what are you going to do? He just didn't. Sometimes you don't have it. But it was never a point where he would ever lay down.
Yeah.
He had a drive to get better and get better and get better. And he was working, man. He was trying to find his swing all spring. And, he kind of did end up finding it at NCAA Championship till the last day. So, it's good to see them progressing to get better and get better and get better.
Yeah.
So, and I told him before the season started, I said, man, this is your junior year. You got 2 more cracks at it. This is kind of where we need to step on the gas. This is where you should have a really good breakout year. And, I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he did for sure. So,
talk to me about Nico and Adam as well, the last 2 of your starting 5. I mean, all of your starting 5, top 40 in the region. That is an incredible feat for your team.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about Adam a little bit as a freshman.
Yeah.
He's got a ton of talent. And, there's a difference in any kind of incoming freshman, either it be an American or somebody that's from overseas international. There's a learning curve. And, he has a little bit of that learning curve. He needs to learn how to work harder. And, he knows that that's the biggest thing I harp on him about.
Yeah.
It's just trying to instill him with the work ethic that he needs to get to so that he's great. And so just if he cleans that stuff up, Adam has the most potential out of really about anybody, honestly. I mean, he has far more potential than most of the kids I've seen at that age. So it's just how bad does he want it? And where does he want to take his game to? And he's playing in a ton of stuff this summer, and he's continuing to work on his game. And I'm hoping that the weight room will help him as well, hit the ball a little farther. And then just the mindset, get that mental mindset.
Yeah.
And he played really well, too, in the NCAA Championship. So that was a big thing for him as well. But, it's trying to lead these kids in a direction that gets them to set their mind right, not only for golf, but for life as well.
Right.
Because you want to be successful after here.
Yeah.
It's not just about golf. It's about being successful in life. And that's being a good person, being a good husband, being good, if you're going to work for your boss, we got to be on time. We got to work hard. And we want to put our 100% forward. You know what I mean? So trying to get that instilled in them early, especially with something they love in golf, is a big deal for me as a coach. So, but no, he played really well, and he's really good. Nico had a really good year as well. He's one of those guys that's streaky. He has really good potential. He's going to go really low sometimes. Yeah. And then he'll follow back. He might play bad. And, we talked about it. A lot of it has to do with just some mental errors. And it's not really just his swing, and it's not this and it's not that, because he has all the talent. It's just figuring out between the years, this is how I can consistently shoot that. And he got it in the spring.
Yeah.
In the fall, he kind of up and down a little bit. But in the spring, he got it. And you would see him, there would be times in the fall where if he was playing bad, he kind of gave up. And you could see his head was down. He was kind of moping around. But in the spring, that didn't happen. Yeah. He was locked in. He's like, I understand what you're saying. I'm going to try and get better at it. And he worked at it. He really worked at it. He was one of the guys that was always in here hitting balls when we weren't having practice. He's the one that's always on the range. He's the one that's always on the course. He's ready to play. And, it showed in the way he played. I mean, I think he shot 4 under one of the rounds at National Championship. And, that's a tough course to shoot 4 under at. There wasn't that many under par scores to begin with. So the talent and the work ethic is there. It's for him, the biggest thing is just trying to figure it out mentally. And I think that was a big boost for us in the spring to see him kind of flip the switch and stay in it longer than what he did, in tournaments in the fall. So.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the experience of the National Championship. You guys take 3rd overall in stroke play, and then you guys go into match play playing Wingate and eventually fall. But just talk to me about the experience you guys had down in Florida.
Yeah, we had a great experience. We got to get down there a couple days early, trying to get used to Bermuda for our guys. If you look at it, we're winning that tournament going down to the last 9 holes. The stroke play portion. So, and then we just started playing bad, and it happens. It gave them a lot of confidence to be able to know that we can play with the best teams in the country. And I think they proved that all week long that, we are one of the best teams in the country. And it should help them with that whole mental thing of, hey, we're here to win, and that's our standard is winning, and we aren't taking anything less. And that fuels their work ethic throughout the summer to hopefully come back, and we'll have another good year after that. But it was a great experience. The guys were pumped. We didn't. I didn't really like the way it ended, but it is what it is. You learn from it, and we made some mistakes, and you come down to a certain point where again it turned into a mental thing. And the biggest thing is I took away from it is we played our best for 54 holes, and then you didn't play your best and you get beat. I mean, it happens. It's one of those situations where everybody's the same right here. They're on that same line with you, and sometimes different tournaments or regionals or conference, you can kind of do this a little bit. Down there, no, not at all. Them teams are good. Yeah. They're good. And, when you mess up, they take advantage of it. So just getting them to understand that every year that should be the goal is the biggest takeaway that I took from that. And knowing that, hey, you guys are the best players in the country, and you can do this, because we didn't get a lot of love from our conference players or other coaches on how they voted for our players. We didn't get love in the regional. We didn't really get love in the championship either. For our kids, they only have one person that made All-American yet. Everybody else that made match play, they had 2 kids at least on the team. So it's the chip on your shoulder mentality that we have to have. So I mean that's going to make people mad for the following year. So now we're going to come out and probably do even better than we did last year. So that's the kind of mindset, and they get it for sure. They get it.
Well, Coach, thank you. We really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations, first GLVC Championship in program history, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.